Is your content doing exactly what you need it to do? Because I feel like we're all on the hustle content train and asking ourselves, is this working? Is this actually doing the job that I need it to do? And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you create content that actually positions you as the go to person? It helps to tell your story, it helps to show what you're capable of. And so today I want to talk about the type of content that is worth crafting, spending time on, and posting. And no, it's not the four things that everybody else talks about. And then we're also going to talk about storytelling content and the different types of storytelling content that you can be sharing. If we've not met, I'm Sis Chadwick. I'm a personal brand and business coach, helping you build a brand that sells for you and hopefully is really you, because it's really easy to perform and just not be ourselves. Now, when I look at content that's out there right now, everybody's got their own flavor of what they like. And so I'm going to share four types of content that I think if you bring into the mix in your social content, it's going to make a really big difference. Obviously, you can put this in your long form content as well. Now, the first one I think is actually probably the most important, and that is authority content. Now, your authority content are things like your client results, your client story, your story. Their client made 5 sales in the first 2 weeks of working together, or they had an amazing launch, whatever it is that you help your clients to be able to do. When you are sharing authority-based stories, which is really stories of results, wins, things that have worked, it makes the people who are watching it want to know more. How did you do that? What was the process? What was the strategy? And so if you can start to go into more of this, it's going to make a really big difference to people wanting to hear what it is that you do and how you do it. Now, obviously, if you've got your own unique method, your way of doing it that you can brand, then that's going to make a big difference, because then you can really talk about why that method or the way that you do it has worked. Now, there's so many stories you can share around this. You can talk about how you discovered this. Like, how did you work out that this was the method, this was the way that worked? Why does this work better than other methods? So there's so many different ways that you can actually use authority content to really help you to capture your audience's attention and show them what's possible when they work with you. I think that it's captivating. I think it's interesting. I think that we love stories. And so it's not just about, oh, my client had this result, yay, end of story. You've got to share that and then start at the beginning and explain how they went through your process, what you did, maybe some of the challenges that they had, the mindset blocks, the things that they believed before coming in, and now what it is that they believe that they're getting the outcomes, the successes, the results that they want, and how you led them through that. And I think one of the main things about that authority content is how you support your clients in their journey. Because as we know, the journey is never straightforward. There's always the ups and downs. And so bringing that into your storytelling is going to make such a difference. And authority content really is conversion storytelling, because it converts your audience through your client transformations, the mindset shifts. And as I said before, why what you do is different, why your take on things is different. So that's the first thing. Homework when it comes to authority content is I want you to sit and take a look at all your testimonials. Really easy and great place to start. And really think about that client. For example, Jess, Brand Builder Academy clients tripled her profit within a month or so of working together. Sheridan booked in 5 clients within the second week of being in Brand Builders Academy. Amy had her biggest financial year, and she'd been in business for 6 years. When it comes to Amplify, one of my clients had a $55,000 launch only a couple of months after working together. More clients have built their confidence to show up, become more visible, test and try new things that have absolutely worked in their business. And so go back to your testimonials and think, what was the story here? And you can just take one story and break it down and really think about what was the process that they went through and what can your audience learn from that example, from that conversion, storytelling, and authority piece of content. Where did you start? What did you end up achieving? And what were the lessons along the way? Because we love the hero's journey. You were down and out. There was a challenge. You started on the journey. You may have had some things that tripped you up, but then eventually you got to where you were going. And so really think about how you can craft that story for your audience. The second type of content that we love, because we're all about personal branding, is your personal brand content as well. So this is, what are you doing? Where are you going? What are you thinking? What's happening in your business? What are the ups and downs? What is your journey? And so this is also not only personal brand, but journey storytelling. And we know that personal branding is one of the most important things that as a business owner, you can do right now because we want to be connected to people. We want to hear what's going on. When I think about some of the people I love to watch, I love Amy Smale from Odd Muse. We learned that she worked for ASOS and then she ended up randomly creating graphic brands and saving up, I think it was £12,000 in order to launch her brand. And now they're like a $24 million company. She's opened in New York. She's living in New York. Like, I'm here for it all. I'm here for her going on her walks and talking about how she's feeling and what's happening. I'm here for the business updates. I'm here for the glam and the events. But it's not all smooth sailing. And I think that when we look at the journey that people go on, it makes us feel connected. It makes us feel like we're there with them and that we're cheering them on. Now, obviously, there might be personal brands where you don't feel so connected, but you still want to know what the journey is. When you think about the people that you love to follow, we know what their journey is. I can tell you Alex Hormozi's story. I can tell you Gary Vee's story. I can tell you Taylor Swift's story. I can tell you business owners' stories because those are the things that we actually remember. And so when you think about the content that you're sharing, you get to choose where you share this. For example, Instagram stories is kind of the behind the scenes. And so taking people on that journey of what you're up to today, where you're off to, anything that you're working on, what you're thinking and feeling, those pieces of content can get your audience coming back again and again. I've shared before that usually I get on Instagram stories in the morning when I'm having my coffee and I say hi. Why? Because I know that my audience are on the other side of that screen. And what do we already know? That our brain doesn't know the difference between in person and online. And so when I show up every day and I connect with my audience, they feel like they know me. They've seen me. I've got clients I've worked with for years where I never met them in person. I speak to them on a regular basis within my stories because it's kind of the behind the scenes. And so your homework for personal brand and journey storytelling is to think about, what can I share? What am I thinking about that I think my audience might be interested in? Now, I'm going to catch a thought here that you might have. Nobody's interested in what I'm doing. I am going to let you know that they absolutely are. And the way that we get people interested in what we're doing is by sharing the behind the scenes, is by sharing what it is that's happening. If you don't share it, they can't become connected to you. If you don't share it, they're not going to build that personal know, love, and trust factor, as I like to call it. And I think the other thing with your personal brand and journey storytelling is that it's not all the highlight reel. We're over the highlight reel on socials. And so whilst you don't need to be crying into your camera, fine if you do as well, but whilst you don't need to be doing that, we want to be able to say, you know something, I'm struggling with this thing, or I'm doing this new thing and it's really hard and it's something that is challenging me. Because when we can bring people on the journey of things that are not only amazing and successful, but challenging and hard, they're there cheering us on and really supporting us. So give them something to support. Perfect becomes boring really quickly. The third type of content, which we all know and see every day, is value and teaching content or educational storytelling. Now, the one thing I want to say is that there's lots of different ways that you can do this. Obviously, you can be like, here's 4 different types of content. But if you share stories, if you give examples, if you show examples as well, it can make it so much more interesting. So whilst value-based content, teaching and education is something that we see all the time and does work really well, as I always say, if you ate the exact same thing every single day for every single meal, it would get pretty boring pretty quickly. And the same goes for your content. If all you're doing is teaching, if all you're doing is education and you're not doing thought shifts and you're not doing storytelling and you're not doing the authority piece and the personal branding piece of get to know me, come on my journey with me, then it's going to become pretty boring pretty quickly. And also, if all you're doing is teaching and you're making it fairly standard, then you're just going to sound like everybody else. So your homework when it comes to value-based content is to not only give the value and share the education, but weave in some stories, weave in some really interesting things that might be a little bit unexpected. Give deeper examples that help your audience to really understand it and see what it is that you're talking about, not only hear what it is. And it's not to copy them, but it's to see different ways that it can be done. Because if I see something and I think that's really interesting, then I can think about, okay, what's my take on it? What would I do differently? How could I share value that comes across in that really different and interesting way? And the fourth one, which is my favorite right now, is commentary. So this is opinions on the market. It's your hot takes. It's something you agree or disagree with that you can take and you can share with your audience. And so you would have seen a lot of these as well. It might be somebody down in the corner of their reel or their video, and they've got a green screen and something happening behind them. So you might be listening to somebody else share a story or have an opinion, and then the person who's sharing the video then gives their take. And so this is absolutely something that I think is blowing up. I think it does really well. And it's because it's not only educational, but it's also opinion based, which I think is also a great authority element for your content. So, for example, if I see somebody where they're like, I'm a brand strategist and expert, I've been in the industry for 20 years, here are things that luxury brands are doing that small businesses can learn from. I am all ears. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to see what they're doing because they've shared their authority. They've told me their background. They've told me how long they've been doing it. They're telling me that these luxury brands are doing something that I can adopt in my business that might be really different, great for positioning me. And so when we curate an opinion or information for our audience, and then we explain to them why this is different, why this is interesting or not interesting, why you agree or disagree with it, and what they can learn from it, it creates a lot of depth and connection. It creates a lot of authority building because you're somebody that is being the information giver. And there are different people in my niche who I love to see their content because it's very commentary based. It's very opinion based. And it's also curated as to what's going on in the market that I may not have seen myself. And so I know that this is going to be really interesting and different. And they're usually people that I comment on a lot. So I want you to really think about when it comes to your content, how can you use these 4 types of content as well as the storytelling element of it? Got authority, personal brand, value, teaching, education, or commentary. Authority and commentary are great for authority building. So really think about how can I build my authority so that I become somebody that people keep coming back to because I'm sharing things that are unique and different and opinion based and not just giving you like the 3 tips on how to do X. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe and like it. Make sure you come over and follow me at Suze Chadwick on TikTok and Instagram as I play with getting more creative with my content too. And if you watched this, DM me and let me know. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you next time.